Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial, and today we've got another picture's worth 1,000 words, this time of decommissioning day in February of 1991. This would take place in Bremerton, Washington, which the photo confirms because this first one we're looking at, which is a bow shot of the ship, is completely foggy, so definitely Bremerton. Let's see, this photo series, we've got 3 pictures here for you today, is interesting because it shows what has been taken off of the ship, and that helps me as the third curator here figure out what has the museum added back since then. So this one's a bow shot. Starting at the bottom, you can see that there is a disc-looking thing on the mooring line. That is a rat guard, i.e. it prevents rats and other vermin from crawling up the mooring line and getting onto the ship when it's tied up at a pier. Most museum ships do not have rat guards because rats aren't climbing up the mooring lines to get on the ship. They walk right across our gangways, and our gangways are permanently attached, so it's not like we can prevent vermin from coming up there. We have never found any rats or mice on the ship, at least in the time I've been here. We have had a snake climb up the anchor chain and get on the bow of the ship. We've had some of the local feral cats and some raccoons come on board in the past. And we just use squirrel cages to catch those and take them off and release them back into the wild out here near the South Jersey port where they seem to live. So, we have gotten that question in the past of why don't we use rat guards? No point. They'll just walk across the gangway. From this picture, the big takeaway is practically all of the antennas are gone. We'll enumerate them some more in the other pictures. One interesting thing you can see here is the ship's wooden name board right at the bow, right on the blue section of the bunting just behind the bullnose there. We do not have that name board. Naval History and Heritage Command has one of our Vietnam-era name boards, and as of the filming of this video, they have it on display at their Hampton Roads Maritime Museum in Nauticus, which has a Vietnam War exhibit up right now. That's the museum where Wisconsin is. It's several different institutions all in one area. Anyway, that is probably an earlier name board. They do all look more or less the same. There's a standard way to make them, but I'm fairly certain that this is a different name board, and we don't know where that one went. But there should be 2 of them from roughly every time period. All right, let's check out the next picture now. All right, so this one is from further aft, looking forward along the pier. You can see the whole crew lined up there at the pier. It is interesting to me just how high this pier is. There's maybe 5 feet of the ship's freeboard from the pier to the top of the ship, whereas the ship stands much higher today. Presumably at this point, a lot of weight in stores and spare parts has been removed from the ship already. So that tells me that there's a big tidal shift here at whatever pier this is, probably in Bremerton again. Interestingly, you can see that the funnels have been capped over. Normally, they're wide open because we've got hot exhaust gases coming out. Any rain or anything else that falls down there just gets evaporated. However, with a dead ship, like you would have in mothballs, that is not the case. So we don't want all the rain that you get in Bremerton just going straight down the stack into the boilers and causing all sorts of damage. So they're capped off. They're still capped off to this day, although they're painted the same black as the smokestack, so you can't really see them. Whereas in this one, it looks like it's either bare metal or maybe painted white for some reason. Interestingly, it looks like the blanks on the pipes coming out of the back of the funnels are also painted red. I'm not sure why they're painted visibly like that. That could just be a primer, and they're still in the process of painting it, or they could be trying to say that, hey, this is how it's supposed to be. You can see that the radar antennas for the Mark 37s and Mark 38s, the directors for the secondary and main guns, respectively, are missing. Let's see. You can see that the harpoons are missing, but the Tomahawk armored box launchers are still in place. The Slick 32 is missing. Both the surface and air search radars on top of the tripod are missing. The ship's boats are missing. All of that stuff is things that can be damaged or deteriorate while the ship is in mothballs. So oftentimes those are removed and put into storage. Sometimes they would be returned to the fleet. So like the ship's boats probably get just assigned to another ship that's entering service. The other things like the radar antennas, nobody else is using Mark 37 or Mark 38 Director except the Iowa-class battleships at this point. So they'd probably go into a warehouse, or they might even be stored in some large space on the ship for if they're ever needed again. You can also see that the drone control radar at the aft stack is missing, as are the OE-82 satellite communications antennas. Practically every antenna has been removed. Another thing to note is that the guns are all at 0 degrees elevation, and they've got covers over them. The main battery guns will be further decommissioned, have their bucklers removed and replaced with a metal cover. The 5-inch guns have already had that metal cover put over them to make them watertight. The area where the barrel elevates, obviously, to be able to move like that, has some openings, so that would let water get in while the ship is in mothballs, and so that would cause corrosion. And so whenever a ship like this goes into mothballs, they cover it up. All right. The third and final picture. Here we actually have a picture from the crowd looking at the ship. And you can see the whole crew manning the rails there in the superstructure. Not a whole lot to point out that we haven't already. The ship does retain all of her awards at this point. So you can see her ribbon board is up. That will be taken down while she's in mothballs. But all of her gunnery E's for excellence and this DC award and everything else around there stays on. If the ship was in mothballs long enough that she needed a fresh coat of paint, they would just paint right over that. When the ship is reactivated, they would just paint right over that because they have to start that process again. You do not retain your awards afterwards. However, fortunately, they are not painted over when the ship is decommissioned or in mothballs, and so the museum still had them, which made it easier to repaint them and continue to portray the ship as she would have looked at the end of her career in like the 1990-1991 time period when she made her last active deployment. The bridge windows are still uncovered, so there's obviously still some work to do in mothballing the ship. Those will all be covered with plywood. And probably the most interesting thing here is the flag that's hanging at the Admiral's flag bridge here. It says Firepower for Freedom, USS New Jersey. BB-62. Okay, those are Bs. And then a bow view of the ship and wetsuit. We eat this stuff up, which was the catchphrase of Captain, later Admiral Fogarty, who brought it to the ship with him when he took over as the ship's last commanding officer. And it seems like the crew really adopted that phrase. We found it painted in a number of places around the ship and even made its way onto this flag. I don't know any history about this flag. It looks like it was made on board pretty late in the ship's career. It looks to me like those letters are just sewn on. It's not monogrammed or anything like that. The ship does have a sail loft on her, which has sewing machines, primarily for working on the ship's fabrics, the awnings in particular, but they can, of course, make other things. It's interesting that for this decommissioning ceremony, the podium is on the main deck. I believe in other ceremonies and like commissionings, we've seen the podium up on the O1 level, which is where the Marines are standing now with the colors posted in this one. Otherwise, those are the things that I noticed. Did I miss anything? Let us know in the comment section down below. Also, if you have other pictures you'd like to see us talk about in another Pictures Worth 1,000 Words, go over to my Facebook page, which is also linked in the description below. It's impossible to send pictures over YouTube. It just doesn't work. So head over to Facebook, send me the picture there. Do not just try to describe the picture with words. I cannot find the picture of the ship with the guns firing. Like, which one are you talking about? There's 1,000 of them. Send me the picture over on the Facebook page, and then we'll add it to the list of what we're going to do in future Pictures Worth 1,000 Words videos. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. There's a link in the description below if you'd like to continue donating to support the museum and our channel. Thanks for watching.